I pull up, roll the window down it. I pull up, roll the window down it. Yeah, I pull up, roll the window down it.
Baby, you don't know what you do to me. Between me and you, I feel like chemistry. I won't let no one come and take your place. Cause the love you give, you can't be replaced. It's not in the case of anybody. That's why I'm mine. I spend my life with you.
Hi, hotties, kettles, tea stirs. You're here for hot tea. All commentary is alleged, and in my opinion, this is for entertainment purposes only.
Y'all gonna love this show, this new show, Love and Marriage Huntsville with Doc Melody.
What up, ho? We in other people's business. And child, Miss Wanda done went over there to the bro chat and did an interview. And I guess she's doing Love and Marriage Huntsville promo for the new season. And she's going to be the one getting the buzz ready. She claims that Mel was the one leaking information, and now she doesn't see the show being leaked more often. And that's because Mel isn't there. But we're going to talk about that later on. If you guys don't know who the bro chat is, you might remember Mitch. Mitch was the guy that you guys said you liked in my last video that went up on Mel's Instagram live and basically exposed that AL tried to use him to get back at Mel.
Debate panel. So, we have spirited debates on Bro Chat. So we thought that we would do some dirty work for him. Wow. Is why he reached out to me. And everything that I'm saying, I have the proof of the conversation that I had with Anthony.
So Mitch and his co-hosts Victor and Damien did an interview with Miss Wanda, and that's where she got to talking greasy. But before I get into that, I want to talk about how Beto grew her hair back and it's full and it's long. And I think it's important to talk about that because people like to lie on me and say that I was laughing at Beto having cancer when I did no such thing, and I stand on that. I was disgusted at her husband laughing at the fact that she was bald headed and didn't have no hair to blow back in the wind.
Man, I want a G. I just want to ride with the top down so my hair can blow in the wind. I'm like, baby, kind of don't have that much hair right now.
Don't say that.
No, this is real talk. So I'm like,
and I was also using that to call his ass out because he was suing me. So fuck him. And I was using that as evidence, and not obviously in my case, but as evidence to the world to prove my point that he's not a good person like he tries to put on. But y'all know how I get about my rant when it comes to the Betos, and this not really about that. But pause, and let me just say this, and I would never let this go. He got on national television, okay, and said that he expect his wife to suffer through having sex with him, okay? On top of that, he's demonstrated multiple times where he seemed to be erratic and really uncontrollably irresponsible with the way he chooses to think about certain things. Like, he literally said that having X is like breathing. And if that's not a danger to y'all, then I don't know what is. And that's just my rant, and I ain't never gonna let that go. I don't care what nobody say. He is a dangerous person, in my opinion, and you can breeze on by it because he bald-headed and light-skinned all you want, but I would never let it go. So congratulations on Kimmy growing her hair out, girl, and you still more mad at us than you should be with that bald-headed scallywag over there, because he was really mad at you because even though you didn't have that much hair, you still had more hair than him. But you got mad at me for calling it out. But boom, it's cool. So circling back to what I was saying earlier in the video, Wanda did this interview, which I'm going to play a clip it for you when I'm done with my commentary, basically stating that she feels like there aren't things being leaked about the show right now because Melody isn't on the show. And there was a lot of things being leaked when Mel was on the show, and I'm going to have to disagree. Why? One, things were being leaked when yo ass was on the show because you claim to be on the show again right now, and you leaked some more stuff, or there was a more chaos connected to you with things being linked. or leaked. But with that being said, I personally feel like, and y'all get in the comment section and let me know if you guys agree or not. But I personally feel like, because, like she said, or like you guys are going to hear her say, Mel has a big fan base. Now that she is gone, a lot of people are going to be gone as well. And a lot of people really don't care about the show. A lot of people really didn't care about the show prior to Mel leaving. A lot of them was hanging on because she was on the show. But now that Mel is off the show, I personally feel like there are a lot of people that do not care about the show anymore, don't really care about the updates. And granted, that's not to say they don't keep up with the drama that is going on with the cast and the behind the scenes stuff, like in their lives and what they're posting, outfits, etc. But realistically, I don't think they actually care about the show, because we know it's going to be artificial bullshit like it has always been. So there's not people talking about it, and there's not a lot of chatter about it because of that. And even still, when the show was on, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there were a lot of things being leaked. I think that there was a lot of drama going on in the cast lives that people wanted to know about, that people were talking about, because the show never showed it. So at the end of the day, in the beginning, I feel like, because Horion and Martell would be arguing and going back and forth with Mel and her fan base would be going back and forth with Martell and Horion. It created a lot of buzz. And realistically, I don't think the same hype and buzz is there, because Dusty Dan Trash Can Stand isn't interesting. Like, let's be real. What is it that she have going on? When you look at Beto and Big Beto, what is it that they have going on? At the end of the day, it's not necessarily about leaking the show, more so than what's circulating in their lives that's going to keep them relevant throughout the season. And that is where Love and Marriage Huntsville has always prevailed over other reality shows, in my opinion. And like I said, correct me if I'm wrong, because there was so much circulating around the cast and people talking about the cast. That is why there was always so much hype, because people wanted to see if they were going to be showing it on the show, how it was going to play out, how they were going to explain it, etc. However, time after time after time again, it'll be all of this drama would be going on, and they never showed the drama that was going on outside the show, even though they claimed this was their real lives. And if they did show anything, it'll be super manufactured. And on top of that, they would never finish the storyline, and they would never actually conduct a thorough story on the actual, I guess, topics that are circulating around social media. And that's not to say that a show is simply based on what's circulating around social media. But what I'm saying is, what was circulating around social media was the stuff that was actually going on in their lives. People were getting glimpses of it, posting it, talking about it, etc. And instead of them piggybacking off of it and allowing them to create their narrative and really display their story, they basically just ignored it, which really made a lot of people disengage from the show as a whole, just off of that alone. Not including the mistreatment and them coddling an abuser like Mel's baby mama Martell. And I don't care what anybody say, at some point there had to be some type of boundaries and some type of consequences put in place for Martell, but there was never that. But all in all, I don't feel like content creators and people were leaking the show. I feel like content creators and people were talking about all of the drama and stuff that was going on while the show wasn't on. So, in my opinion, what the real leaking of the show, we literally have a play-by-play. Like, we literally know people that was really involved in the Love and Marriage Huntsville sector. They know what the real leaking of the show was and what that consisted of. And a lot of that had nothing to do with Mel and Martell arguing online, because again, a lot of the drama that was circulating around Love and Marriage Huntsville had everything to do with Martell and Melody. So it's going to be interesting to see if they're going to actually be able to produce thorough storylines. But what it does sound like, what they're going to kick the season off with by pulling the crowd in, is trying to display Marceau and Letitia's marriage. So they're definitely going to be talking about cheating again. And because Martell and Mel are no longer going to be the dynamic duo or the most important, because Mel isn't on the show anymore, like, they are, in my opinion, going to try to refurbish that storyline, but in a different way. So they might even try to expose them, or they might, who knows, right? Not to say that that's what people want, anyways. But y'all get in the comment section, let me know what you think, because I even see Letitia, she tries to post more. I remember I used to make videos and I used to laugh all the time because I would say, how is Letitia a reality star, but she never have any new professional photos? She never does any like reality star shit, or even Beto. Like, there was nothing interesting about them that reeled people in. But even off season, Mel used to do stuff on and off season, and people used to always be engaged on her Instagram, like, oh, you're going to an event, oh, this is a photo shoot, oh, this is that. And people just used to like to speculate, in my opinion, not necessarily try to leak the show, which was fun. People do that with Bravo shows all the time. And I feel like that is also what made Love and Marriage Huntsville successful. People was always buzzing about it and talking about it. And now that's not necessarily the case. So as Wanda look at it as if this is a good thing, like, oh, Mel's not off the show, things not being leaked, I don't think it's even about things being leaked. People ain't talking about the shit as a whole in general. And is that really what you guys want? But y'all get in the comment section and let me know what y'all think about these clips.
I like them as higher than they was doing Melanie, because Melanie had a big follow. She had a huge follow. Of course, they're going to look at the follow, okay? Because that's what make a show just about. But I think the people that they got there now, and the way they're going to set everything off, I can't tell you about, but the way everything is going, I think y'all still going to love and Marriage Huntsville even more.
Okay.
I think it's going to be the bomb, okay? I actually think that Tisha, Marceau, Kimmy, Maurice,
You.
Martell, Trish, her husband, Destiny. I think they're going to carry a big part, and y'all going to love this show, this new show, Love and Marriage Huntsville with Dot Melody. I think it's going to be the bomb.
Great.
And y'all going to love it. Y'all going to love what they got to bring. And of course, they bring in Wanda back.
Oh, my God.
Back. So, yeah, y'all know, me and Marceau never seen eye to eye. You know, they got on us about talking about, you know, what's going on the show, and especially with my little niece Kiki, what happened with her, you know, talking to bloggers about what's actually going on. Yeah. So now that Mel is gone, hey, I don't see a lot of that, talking to the blog about what's actually going on. And the show been going on now for almost 7-8 months, and we don't hear that much what's going on. So, you know, I mean, I know I got crossed up inviting a blogger to one of my events that, like I said, once again, that was an event that I was having. Love and Marriage Huntsville did not know anything about. I was having my own event. And I don't know, have y'all heard, but I know y'all heard about the AL thing that coming to one of my events.
There was a blogger, AL. Is that what you want me to call him? Because I call him AL. Did we say AL? Yeah. I'll say AL.
Okay, that's fine.
AL was invited to an event where the cast were filming. And allegedly, when he arrived, production was surprised that he was there, and they stopped filming because they didn't want him on camera.
I invited him to an event, but I was having that I didn't even know Love and Marriage Huntsville was going to film it, okay? I had already planned to have me this grand open. But since they called me a couple days before my event was going on, they called me and said, hey, we want to catch that on the thing, right? I was like, okay, what day y'all want to do it? And so they gave me a day during the week. I was going to do mine on that weekend. So, which I still done it, but I'm going to do it on that week. So I called him back. I called Anthony while I was talking to my friend Marcella. I was talking to my friend, and me and her was talking about, I was asking her, I said, girl, I was telling her about my event was going to happen on that Saturday. But since they said they're going to film on that Wednesday, so I was like, okay, that'll be fine. You know, most everybody's at work and everything. We don't do that too business. So if they're going to film, we're going to do it on a day. They did it on a day that they know it wasn't going to be too crowded. So I was like, that's fine. And I called Marcella as soon as I found out that it was going to film, which was that's probably the next day. I called my friend Marcella. I said, girl, they're going to film me on Wednesday. I said, can you come down? She was like, Wednesday? She said, that's like 2 days from now. I said, yeah. I said, I know. I'm just letting you know. Giving you a head up. I said, anyway, call Anthony. Tell Anthony to come. Tell him to come. So she said, hold on a moment. Well, she told me to hold on. She didn't tell me she was going to call Anthony. She just said, Anthony, Miss Wanda wants you to come down to certain thing. And so that's how everything all started. But I really wanted to tell her. I didn't give her exactly a time. I just gave her a date. Okay, so when she called him, I was still on the phone. So of course, I'm just gonna like not make it look obvious that I'm like, okay, so hey, can you come down to my grand opening? I'm having it, blah blah this and blah blah that. He said, when it? I said it's gonna be on Wednesday, and I gave him the time and everything because they never gave me a time. They never gave me a time. So 2 days, a day later, they called and gave me a time. I called Anthony back and I said, hold on, let me give you a time and everything. I said, inbox me or call me and I would text you everything because I don't want nobody to think that you just walking, you know, that you just came there. Right. I want you to know that I'm inviting you, but I want you, I mean, just in case you run into the cast member or whatever, I invited you. I didn't want him to think that he was just all by himself, that he just popped up there. So that's exactly what they thought. So when producer called me out there, he was standing right there. Anthony was walking up. And after I gave Anthony a hug and everything, I said, well, welcome. I said, I didn't expect it to be so quick, but okay, it's fine. But anyway, to make a long story short, producer walked up to me then, and he said, why is he here? I said, who? Because I know a couple more people out there. I'm like, who? He said, Anthony. I said, I invited him. From day one, I told him I invited him. So when he got on his platform and said that I lied to them, and I lied, making everybody thinking I'm crazy because what he did was when he came, he knew they didn't want him there, but I did not know they didn't want him there.
He was being messy.
I'm having a thing with the show back on the show. I didn't know him and producer had a issue like that. You know what I'm saying? I did not know that.
Spoiling the episodes. So
I knew about all of that, but I did not know that him and producer was in it. You know, because the way he was talking, if you listen to his shows, he was like telling the people that he got an in-house connected, like if he was dating someone on that filming crew. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I was thinking. He was dating somebody on the filming crew. That's how he got all this in-house connection.
Right.